Hello. Hello everyone. Welcome to the automated script, the easiest and finest way to start your automation testing. To stay up to date with my latest videos and cool automation tips, please make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I am Mahesh and I am Senior Test Automation Architect with 14 plus years of experience in software test automation. I worked in R&D department for 5 years on multiple technologies and languages. I got approved one patent and other in queue. In my current role, I explore new technologies and tools in the market, introduce them to our test processes and bring value to the organization. Also, I providing the technical architecture defining the strategic direction for testing automation processes. Okay, so in this, I'll talk more on the agile now. So in this agile age, software project managers and the test managers want to deliver a thoroughly tested application more quickly and efficiently. In their attempt to do more with the less, they seek different ways to reduce the testing efforts and time. Without compromising on quality, this typically leads to the consider your test automation. So before I go further, I will just talk about current agile development challenges and automation testers thought. Let's take an example. Whenever we start automation testing of any feature or product or project, always we do have some questions in our mind. So the questions like, is it possible to use agile methodologies in automation testing? Then, can I able to automate given task in a given time, because though it's agile, so there is a less time. How to estimate test efforts in agile initiatives, and is there any difficulty in reuse and repeat test across sprint iterations? So importantly, we observe other challenges as well, like lack of good automation testing approach that fits the agile development method and inability to apply test automation at appropriate level. In the most of organization, test automation fails due to inappropriate automation processes followed. As per the analysis, automation success ratio in industry is between 30 to 35%. And there are so many reasons behind those failures. So one of the reasons is your proper processes. And when someone asks in interview about the automation processes or automation life cycle followed in your current organization, most of the interviewers are not able to answer, and it is very easy for any interviewer to know if the person work on automation testing or not. So let it be, and we can just talk more on the processes and another automation life cycle today. So let's say I'm going to explain you the automation testing life cycle in detail, and I'm sure if you guys can start referring or adopting this within your project, we can make this success ratio much higher. And I am sure whenever you will be explain ATLC, that is automation test lifecycle, within your interview in detail, it will help you to get through with your interview. So let's start. So if you can see on my screen, it is complete automation testing lifecycle, that is ATLC. Automation test lifecycle is an important portion in any automation testing. The term lifecycle denotes the entire process of testing. As we have software development lifecycle, we have software testing lifecycle. So same, we do have the automation testing lifecycle as well. Test automation is applied within the structural sequence of testing processes that can have all the stages of lifecycle with additional phases for including the test preparation and automation implementation processes. This entire process is known as automation testing lifecycle. The various phases of ATLC are knowledge transition, test automation requirement, automation test plan and automation estimates, automation test design phases, test automation development, test delivery or sign off, and project closure. So when we talk about the knowledge transition, here the main objective is to find the feasibility of automation, and every aspect should be taken into consideration while analyzing, like which test can be automated and how it can be automated, which model of the application can be automated and which cannot be, and which all are the tools that can be used for automation and which will be the best choice. Then we analyze cost, team strength, expertise also should be taken care. How much knowledge transfer required to do it so? We need to understand business process application, test processes within the similar project and product. As your application grows in the complexity, it's very critical to maintain a strong understanding of its backend functionality. A novel new way to visualize your application features and all of its surfaces and dependencies is test application inventory, which provides insight and clarity around program structure and data flow. A clear understanding of these details is important for prompt, smooth application test automation, its maintenance, updates, and upgrades with the minimal changes. We need to prepare knowledge transfer, or we said KT documentation for further references. Perform reverse KT within a team to understand current team's understanding of features to automate. And finally, sign off to the knowledge transition phase to jump on the next important milestone of ATLC. Now, which is a test automation requirement. Here we want to identify answer of three major components. So the second phase was your test automation requirement. So the three major components are creating automated test cases that directly relate to the system requirement. Then creating automated test cases that indirectly relate to the system requirement. And third one is creating automated test cases that do not directly relate to the system requirements. So based on our previous knowledge transitioning, here we analyze and prioritize manual test cases for automation, which may give us a better return of investment in future. So mostly we select always which is a repetitive task. So then the scope is since technology is advancing at a fast pace, the demand of getting projects done faster has increased more than ever in Agile. In order to get projects done fast, the processes followed during a software lifecycle needs to become fast as well. So definitely, I mean, in the Agile, we need to manage our software lifecycle as well. Also, we need to go a bit faster. When it comes to the large-scale testing and performing regression testing, automation is in the way to go. The scope of test automation is to provide automated support for testing procedures, integration, unit, and system. We perform mock-up execution of test cases to identify further roadblocks as well. So that the most of the time automation tester came to know the elements of the application are available, or we need to request the development team at this stage. So whenever we do any of the mock test, we came to know some of the roadblocks in the system, some of the roadblocks in the test execution. We came to know, okay, these are the elements are not identified, so we request those to the development team. Then the third and important phase is your automation test plan and automation estimates. Very important stage where we get initial number on efforts and time required to complete given assignment or project or feature. Here we prepare automation test strategy where we think of major blocks to make test automation success in current projects. Some of those are you're selecting the right test automation tool or framework, shortlisting the test cases for automation based on which scenarios are tedious but can be automated, which regression or sanity test cases be automated. Can we maintain dynamic test data? How many platforms we need to support? Can we automate all CRUD, that is a create, retrieve, update and delete operation in the application? And then we select the automation test environment and how to make the reusable component within the automated scripts, and definitely the results oriented approach. Based on all above points I have mentioned, we prepare our automation test plan. I'll give you a very good example of this. Just give me a second. Okay guys, so let's say this is my web application and this is my desktop application. Now I have a web application named as automatedscript.com. Here I wanted to enter my username, my password and click on login button. But my prerequisite is I wanted to create that user and password from this desktop application, where I need to enter my user, password, confirm password and create. The same user I am able to log in on my web application. This is what the current scenario which we wanted to automate. Okay. So let's go to the automatedscript.com. So This is my manual step number, manual procedure, and manual expected results. This data I can pull it from any of the your QC or some other tool. So where my step 1 says I wanted to create user and password from the desktop application. Step 2 says I wanted to enter my valid username and password, and step 3 says I wanted to click on the login button. But in automation, when like not in manual, we need to create all the verifications. So automation is totally based on your verifications, where we said I wanted to verify whether desktop application present. I need to enter my user password, confirm password, and click on the create button. But if you can see this areas, there are a different column also. If you can see the fourth, that is location. Here I mentioned where did I implement this verification, and the next column says is that feasible to automate, or it is not feasible to automate. So when I say 0, that means it is not automatable. When I say 1, which is automatable. So if this is my using Selenium, definitely desktop application I cannot automate. So I mention it 0. The next column says how much current percent of completion. Let's say I mentioned 0. 0 says it is not yet started. But when I say 1, that means 100% completed. If you can see 0.75, that means 75% completed by this step. So this is how we mention in the Excel. So based on all those parameters and this data, we can see in the summary, like this is my regression manual test where I have this login test. Total 17 verifications are there. If you can go back to the scripts, and you can see these are all 17 total verifications. So this 17, out of that, how many are feasible to automate? So based on this data, so how much are feasible to automate? The 6 are out because these are not feasible to automate. Those are from the desktop application. So I make it 0. So out of 17, 11 is feasible to automate. So based on this, what is my percent of automation, feasible automation? That is 65%. So if I am an automation tester, I'll give my estimation based on this 65%. So this 65% is 100% for me. So based on those, I will give my estimation how many days or efforts required to automate all this 65%. So currently what is automated? So those are 4.75. So 4 of these and 0.75. So total percent currently automated is 28% out of 17. But when we say feasible, out of feasible, that means out of 11, then it is 43%. So it is very clear for anyone or your test manager or your test leads to get all this information about current automation status, and the same data they can forward it to their stakeholders or their further superiors. Okay, so we came back and continuing to our further steps, that is your automation design. So based on our previous example of verifications, I have created for single page are needs to be identified, and those are reusable for future or further automated scripts. So at organizational level, code or script and even the framework should be reusable within the cross-functional teams. Your test automation design should include the reusability of test scripts. If you are using scripts for test automation, this will help to reduce the scripting development efforts. So if you can see, I already designed all my verifications within that verification sheet. Based on that, I'll get the risk estimation, how many of verification I need to cover. So if you need to select one out of the several test automation tools or framework available in the market, that can be a difficult task. In order to select the best of your project, first you need to understand your project requirements thoroughly. That's when, if already framework exists in your organization. If not, then we need to identify your budget, select the tools that fit our requirements and within our project. Then you can shortlist based on other parameters such as the licensing cost of the tool, maintenance cost, training and support, then tools extensibility, performance and stability of that tool. So the test data is this. If you can see, I mentioned the test data. The test data comprises all sort of data input required to test systems functionalities and may include positive data for expected functioning, negative or invalid data for error or any exception handling mechanism. Test data has a major role in the software testing processes to generate out of the qualities or the deficiencies present in the system. Thus, it arises the need of creating and maintaining the test data in end-to-end test automation, which is not an easy task for the testing team. A QA team may consider and implement certain specific strategies, practices to manage the creation and execution of test data in end-to-end test automation as per their needs and requirements. Finally, prepare test automation design document to track for future implementation. I have shown you the document which will help you to manage your design, where I have added all the verifications and everything. The next phase is the test automation development. Setting up your test environment is another important area of successful test automation development. You can establish your automation test environment, and you need to identify you need to identify the requirements of the test environment. Then by acquiring the required framework. If framework not exists, then tools with their licenses. You can also consider the data that is part of your test cases, like where to store the test data. Should the data be masked? Should we need to manage dynamic test data? Testing should be done across numerous client operating systems. Tests should be done across all the browsers and their versions, and likewise. You can create a pilot automation framework and write your initial scripts, which can be your prototype scripts for demo to the management. Based on review input, perform review fixes onto the prototype and start deep dive into automated test cases. Here, one important thing to remember while doing or creating a prototype, you identified so many roadblocks which may lead to the change into your existing estimation. So that's why we have mentioned the re-estimation also here. So for example, probably you come to know some of the controllers are not automatable, and initially in automation estimation phase, you consider it as a feasible to automate. So continue to our prototype review inputs, or we'll start fixing those and start building a strong framework. While building a framework, we kept in our mind that a common function needs to be created to be used throughout the test processes. A structured reusable script must be created so that other team members can easily understand it. Also, the code should be reviewed for test scripts for proper quality assurance. Some of the key features that we need to manage while doing the code review, like it should contain all functional aspects of the test case. The test script should be done on multiple environments and multiple platforms. Test script must be executed in batches to save time and resources. Then some of the coding guidelines should be followed, coding procedures should be followed, proper and optimized logic should be implemented, proper review request is created and followed, like the GitHub shared code repository where we need to perform the code review. You can create your review process from the GitHub as well. Validate all documentation, those should be prepared during this development. Then your next phase comes, that is test strategy, or we say test automation handover, where we give demo to the actual script development to the management or whole team, and if there is any further review from any one of the team member, then fix those review input and hand over the automated test scripts to the manual team for further execution. So now onwards, for every sanity or regression, whenever they want to execute, they can simply start running automation scripts based on the training provided to them. Also, any future maintenance that will be taken care by the automation team. So let's say they said, okay, these are the features are not currently working, so those maintenance should be taken care by the automation team. We need to update all the automation handbook documentation, then the regular basis based on any changes made within the framework, or any test automation processes also we need to update. That is again one of the key block which is a part of your test delivery. At the last, we can see the test project closure. So project retrospectives are done to document the lessons learned in the automation project, both good and bad. In this, it is discussed that we continue to use best practices that work really well during the project and stop using any bad practices. There are many important areas about the project that need to be discussed in retrospective meetings. Some of those are like, did we really right test estimation, or estimation done for the project was misjudged? Is this process followed in the current automation project efficient, or these are improvements, or there are the improvements required in the process as well? Did the automation testing go as planned, or these were variances from the plan which needs to be rectified in the future projects? What is the trend of review input found in the project? For example, the review that is I'm talking about, that is found in your code. So that is all the areas that we need to manage in the automation test lifecycle. Once again, these are all the important phases of automation test lifecycle. And I'm sure this automation test lifecycle will help you to kickstart automation testing within your current project. Also, it will help you to answer in interview. Meanwhile, if you have any question or you want me to cover any particular topic, then please post your comment on this video. I'll try to cover that in my next video. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Once again, thank you.